Coming to you live from Ursprung Gymnasium on the campus of Baldwin Wallace University. It's the best rivalry in Northeast Ohio, the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets and the John Carroll Blue Streaks tonight on bwyellowjackets.com. Alongside Luke Schradel, I'm Brendan Gulick. Glad to have you on board for what we always enjoy, a matchup between these two very talented programs who both have a ton of history and tradition of success. I think both these two programs over the last couple years have certainly tasted a lot of that success right there with Mount Union and Marietta toward the top of the OAC. We've seen OAC championship wins and appearances from each of these two programs in the last several years. Looking forward to seeing them meet for the first time here this year tonight.
Yeah, we have home floor advantage tonight for the Yellow Jackets, so I think that's what's going to be really big. Can this crowd get active and into it, especially with stars like Jackson Sartain being on that John Carroll roster, guys that have been around this gym a while.
We've got plenty to tell you about these two teams along the way tonight. Yellow Jackets are in white. They come up with an early steal, and off we go. Baldwin Wallace scores first. It's senior Shane Zalba who lays it in from the right-hand side. Jake Snyder, Anthony Mazzio, Shane Zalba, Drew Wennis, and Christian Pfeiffer, the starting five for the Jackets. Eric Hanna, Connor O'Toole, William Wallace, David Gentry, and the great Jackson Sartain for John Carroll. 2-2 tie after the bucket came from Eric Hanna. Why don't we start with Jackson Sartain? You mentioned him right off the top. This is a guy that, frankly, in the history of the Ohio Athletic Conference, we have never seen something like what Jackson Sartain has achieved throughout his career. Jackets get back on the defensive end of the floor quickly. Connor O'Toole lets it fly, and it rattles away. Jackson Sartain is pretty easily the most storied shooter now in the history of OAC basketball. And by the way, if you're unfamiliar, the OAC is the third oldest conference in the country, regardless of level. This is a conference that's been playing competitive varsity NCAA athletics for over 120 years. Jackson Sartain is the active Division III NCAA three-point leader, as the Yellow Jackets will have this out of bounds underneath the basket. Leader in makes and attempts, but he's the OAC and school record holder in three-pointers made in a season and career percentage from behind the three-point line, as the Jackets strike with one there from Drew Wennis. Sartain is he's awfully good and had a 55-point game to open the season. He has twice this season broken what was the previous school record for threes made in a game. He's had 15 and 10 in a game this year. You just can't let him open.
Yeah, a guy like that has a ton of accolades, and he's going to be the focus for your scouting report. And in their 6 losses, he has scored under 20 points in all of those games. I think you got to contain Sartain if you want to win today.
That's a great point. When he hasn't played well, for whatever reason, the team hasn't been able to make up for it. They find Sartain on the left-hand side and quickly get up in his grill. Christian Pfeiffer, who I think is probably the Yellow Jackets' best defender, is going to have his hands full with him. Meanwhile, an easy dunk. John Carroll gets it to 7-4. David Gentry flushed it with two hands. Gentry defending on Mazzio, who lays it home. Jackets off to a 9-4 start.
Tough finish by Mazzio. It goes right through the contact. I thought there might have been a foul.
Rejected at the rim. Beautifully done by Pfeiffer. Zalba all the way to the rim, missed it, and Pfeiffer cleaned it up.
Great play on both ends by Pfeiffer. He led the OAC in blocks last season. There was a great one to get started in this first half.
Connor O'Toole back to William Wallace. Spins it up there with one hand and swirls it home. Yellow Jackets off to a hot shooting start. 5 of their first 8 have gone down. Carroll's hit 3 of 7. Little bounce pass in the rear and a high arcing 3. Home for Drew Wennis. Rolling timeout just to bring in the new subs. 5 in, 5 out. John Carroll does a A lot of 5-in, 5-out substitution. They've done that for a long time, stretching over multiple coaching staffs, so not a huge surprise here. I'll tell you about the new guys that have just come on here. PJ Flannery, Omar Abdouamde, who is controlling the ball at the moment. Hugh Brown's on the floor. This is PJ Flannery, who rattles home a three in that corner. Blake Booker is on the floor, and for the first time in over a month, Mason Trubisky back out there for the Blue Streaks. Mason Trubisky and his teammate Chase Toppin both have not played since early December. Been battling injuries. This John Carroll squad has been hit by COVID, perhaps harder than any other team in the league outside of maybe Ohio Northern. Mazzio's three is well short, but I'm sure John Carroll happy to see Trubisky back out there. We'll monitor his minutes, see what kind of effectiveness he can have in this game.
Coach Heil was not too happy with that shot selection there for Mazzio. They started out with 3 assisted buckets on 6 of their makes, and you know that's the key tonight. Got to get assisted buckets. It's been consistent all year when they get assists. They're playing a lot better, and I think they need to just continue to do that tonight.
Jackson Simmons, who probably has the physicality best matched on the Yellow Jacket team to try and control Trubisky. He's checked in. Another quick one and done. It looked that way for a moment. Instead, the Jackets with a takeaway in the backcourt. Shane Zulba lays it in. 16-9, BW off to a fast start. Trubisky wouldn't pull the trigger, instead drives, and with the left hand, misfired. Jake Snyder lost his footing, somehow didn't lose possession. He'll catch and shoot, and bury one. 19-9, hot start for the Jackets. They've hit 8 of their first 13, including 3 threes. Abu Hamde rejected. Good play by Zulba. Wide open underneath. Nobody saw Mazzio, and now Pete Moran says time for a full timeout. Wow. 21-9. What a start from Baldwin Wallace.
They have seriously come to play tonight. Seriously come to play. And I talked about this a lot all season. It's can they be consistent? We know what they have in their bag. They just need to pull out all the stops tonight. 64% from the field. That's pulling out all the stops.
Talk a little bit during the timeout more about the big picture here. This is a Yellow Jacket team that maybe has gotten in a slightly better rhythm than John Carroll because they've been able to play more games, but not necessarily a boatload more. They've just had more consistency in their schedule. The Yellow Jackets coming in with a 3-game winning streak over Muskingum, Ohio Northern, and Capital. 9-4 on the season, 4-2 in conference play. Of course, the Jackets have become pretty well known for their three-point prowess, and as the season has gone on, they're a top 30 squad out of well over 300 in three-point shooting around the country. So certainly a team that can beat you from deep, but as you can see through the first 5.5 minutes of the game, their pace is definitely a problem.
Yeah, and this John Carroll team, they just lost to Wilmington. They're on a 2-game losing skid, and in that game, Wilmington shot 50% from 3, and that's really disrupting to what your defense does. You're all out of sorts on defense. You're trying to get that back. And you saw early, BW dominated offensively. They're getting assisted buckets. They're getting wide open threes. You just can't do that with this team.
On the other side, Carroll 6-6. They've dropped 5 of their last 6 since a 5-1 start. So they're trying to find a rhythm again. Sartain catch and shoot, and it's good. Just a 2-ball. His foot was on the line. Makes it 21-11. That's Jackson's first bucket of the night. Zulba managed to stay in bounds. Not many teams have been able to come up with the right combination to slow down Jackson Sartain throughout the course of the season this year and his career, frankly. But for whatever reason, to me, it feels like the games that Jackson hasn't gone off offensively are games in which he has struggled to get open off of screens. Carroll offensively runs a system that, maybe for someone who's a catch-and-shoot type guy like Jackson Sartain often is, it's hard for him to find open looks. He's never going to sneak up on anybody in the scouting report. as David Gentry traveled under the basket. Coaching staff for Carroll certainly thought that he was fouled. Jackets lead by 11. I should say by 10, 21-11. Quick little floater there from BW sophomore Luke Driscoll. Didn't drop. Wallace tried the little trail pass.
Zalba's already been really active in this game. Saw the block, almost took that one away there.
Good team effort so far for BW. Nobody's got more than 6 points. Wennis a couple of threes as Sartain launches a little long. Wallace saves it. Hannah puts it up. Doesn't drop, but the foul. 3 foul shots coming for junior Eric Hannah. Eric Hannah from Olmsted Falls. He's had a pretty decent season, averaging a little over 12 points a game, 5 rebounds a night, and more than 2 assists per contest. Pops that one away, no good. And he's been basically 2 out of 3 from the free throw line. Misfires on each of the first 2. Yellow Jackets bringing on 2 fresh faces, Samson Albert and Rob Watson III, both coming in for the first time.
Well, the way they're defending Sartain on that high screen, they're sending 2 guys right at him. They're jumping that screen. They want to make the other guy play. They make Gentry play on that last time, and he's really showing he can do it a little bit off that screen. So we'll see how that develops and how that matchup keeps going throughout this one.
William Wallace bails out the Blue Streaks. Wallace makes the layup after Hannah missed all 3 free throws. At least get something out of that possession. Meanwhile, Ashton Price on the floor for the Jackets as well. Watson strokes it too deep. Jackson Simmons fades away, no shooter's touch. BW does not have a dynamic offensive player on the floor right now, at least not one that's proven at this level. But their depth is going to be tested against a John Carroll team that likes to play at a really high energy clip. This is Connor O'Toole off the side of the iron.
O'Toole already with a 0 for 2 start from downtown. He's missed his last 15 three-pointer attempts.
Albert wanted the step back but wouldn't pull the trigger. Almost traveled with it. 5 to shoot for Driscoll from the left elbow, and that one doesn't go home.
Yeah, that's the shot that John Carroll wants you to take. Somebody's got to take it hard to the hole and draw a defender.
Price off the switch, guarding Wallace, takes him all the way to the rim and misses the layup.
Great job of not fouling by Price there. It's so tough not to foul as you're backing your way into the lane there.
Jackets by 8. Price drives baseline, and he's got 2 foul shots coming. Ashton Price, the freshman from Bay Village, who hasn't seen a ton of playing time this year, but getting a good opportunity here in this rivalry match.
He was somebody who Coach Heil was pumped about early in the season. In that preseason interview, he was talking to me about him and how he'd be kind of 6th man on this team. And that's sort of the way it's turned out. But he's kind of finding his way, as you know, all young freshmen do in this league.
Price has seen decent minutes. I don't want to take that away from him, but hasn't been a super high impact scorer yet. He's averaging about 17 minutes per game, at 5 points per night.
He just maybe hasn't found his jump shot quite yet. I think he finds his jump shot and everything gets a lot easier for him.
Took care of the 2 foul shots there as Mason Trubisky draws the foul and will head to the free throw line. Of course, Mason, the younger brother of the NFL quarterback Mitch Trubisky. Suppose if you have a brother that plays in the NFL, whether you like it or not, that's always going to be attached to your biography is that you're the brother or mom or dad of. Someone will always kind of think of you in that light, though I think Mason's done a good job of carving his own path. It's a talented young man who's really made a big difference on this John Carroll team. In his junior season now out of Mentor. We're glad to have him back tonight. Good work from the free throw line. Foul in the backcourt. That's the first on Wallace. John Carroll last year probably got hurt by COVID more than anybody else in the conference. And I know I said that about this year too. It's been a rough stretch. Price with a nice takeaway all the way to the rim. And he's fouled. 2 shots coming. John Carroll only got 8 games last winter before their season was cut short. In fact, only the fifth-year seniors on this Carroll team, which I'm pretty sure Jackson Sartain is the only fifth-year guy. They're the only one, he's the only one, and the coaching staff that have tasted an OAC championship and NCAA tournament success. They were 25-6 back in the 17-18 season. They made it to the Sweet 16 before losing to Augustana, who went on a great run out there in Rock Island, Illinois. Trubisky's 3 off target. Price grabs a rebound. He's been productive in these couple of minutes so far. Jake Snyder, raise him. 28-15, Yellow Jackets.
And he's one of those big 3 scorers on this team. I think the big 3 would be Jake Snyder, Drew Wennis, and Mazzio. And those 3 all had 17 points in their last time out in a win against Capital.
Sartain drives and kicks. Trubisky was in trouble. Wallace with a shot clock under 5, puts it home from behind the line. Frustrating foul on John Carroll in the backcourt. Well, right now, obviously the Yellow Jackets got off to a hot start offensively. Well, they've cooled down a little bit. They're still dictating the rhythm of this first half. They lead by 10. Couple of changes. Watson, Wennis, Albert, Snyder, and Price for the Jackets. Trubisky, Flannery, Abuamde, Brown, and Sartain. And just as I say that, they make 2 more changes. Trubisky out, Gentry back in. And Watson comes off the floor. Christian Pfeiffer returns. Halfway through the opening, stands up. Baldwin Wallace by 10. Price, let it rip. Couldn't connect from in front of the John Carroll bench. Sliding his way all the way uncontested, but missing the layup. Frustrated PJ Flannery. Good cut. Wennis bobbled it and lost it out of bounds. Another change here as Mazzio returns. So does Eric Hanna. Try to give you an update along the way when we can on the women's side. Of course, there's a big game going on there as well between 2 teams that have had an awfully high level of success this year. Jackets and the Streaks on the women's side are ranked 11th and 12th nationally, respectively. Fun to follow them this year. Hugh Brown, not quite. Too many misses from too close to the basket.
I don't think they could have dreamt a worse start from the field. 7 for 21.
Well, the original whistle was that it was off Carroll, and it was quickly reversed. Jackson Sartain returns to the floor. On the ladies' side, John Carroll leads BW 22-15. They're just at the start of the second quarter in their game. Jackets not shooting it well across town. 5 of their first 17. There's a 3 right in front of the BW bench. Beautifully done, P.J. Flannery. 28-21.
And that just killed a great defensive possession. They handled the pick and roll nice on the inside. Got Gentry to pass it back out, but couldn't get a hand up to contest that shot.
Good defense there from the former Medina product. Gentry from Abu Amde, lost it. Mazzio, Baldwin Wallace's most electrifying scorer, cuts to the basket and finishes. 30-21. Omar with a good find. Gentry up and under for 2. These two teams did have a chance to play last year before the end of Carroll's season was cut short. Each team winning on their home floor. Nicely done, Drew Wennis.
Drew Wennis has fully come out of his slump that he started the year in. Really come on strong in these past couple of games. Already started out leading the scoring, 8 points in this one.
Just missed his career high a couple games ago at 28 against Muskingum. Last year at 29 against Wilmington Quakers. The Jackets turn it over. 32-23 with 7:23 to play. I think Baldwin Wallace called the timeout. The referees are walking over to the bench to say, what's the deal here? BW called a 30. I don't think any of the referees really knew that. It was not a very definitive signal, but that's okay. Your thoughts on the way things have gone so far?
Well, it's John just about as perfect as it could defensively for the Yellow Jackets. Making a team shoot 34% from the field is what you'd plan for defensively. And they really haven't turned the ball over too much. 5 turnovers. I know that kind of seems like a little bit high number for an early first half number, but I mean, they really have been protecting the basketball. 7 assists to John Carroll's 4. They're out rebounding John Carroll by about 4 boards. It's going to be about who gets the 50-50 balls, who wins the offensive glass battle tonight. And BW's done a nice job keeping themselves together on the boards. They really fell apart against Marietta there, and they let a guy pick up 15 offensive boards in 1 half. And since then, they've really changed that mantra, and they've done a nice job defending and rebounding tonight.
Well, defensively, Carroll has had a pretty tough season. Not surprising to see them score a bunch of points, although they got off to a slow start offensively. They are a top 20 offense nationally. But out of the 411 teams that play D3 hoops, they are tied for 395th in scoring defense. The Yellow Jackets, while they are shooting it well tonight, it's kind of an average performance so far compared to what JCU fans are used to seeing. That one's nicely done. And a foul drawn by Trubisky. Carroll's had a couple of pretty high offensive numbers against schools that are not traditionally great basketball programs. They scored 109 points in the opener against Cayuga. Of course, 55 of those came from Sartain. They had 100 the next night against Hilbert. They've also lost 110-91 against Rowan, and they beat Bryn Athen 99-76. And 90-plus points against Medaille and Buffalo State as well. But they've been held much more in check these last couple of games, losing 81-75 to Otterbein, 93-74 at Wilmington last time out, as Mazzio got fouled in transition. So perhaps some of those offensive numbers are a bit inflated against competition that's not great. For whatever reason, when those games were scheduled outside of the conference, perhaps those teams were expected to be better programs. And Rowan is certainly a respectable school, but Cayuga and Hilbert and Bryn Athen are not traditionally great basketball programs, although Medaille and Buffalo State certainly are. Those were nice wins for Carroll earlier in the year.
Yeah, both teams started 4-0, and John Carroll took on Case, and they lost 82-111. That's a team that's in the top 25 right now.
Case
Western,
is good.
Playing really good basketball recently, and they 30-balled this team almost, and they let them score 111 points.
Yeah, Case is the real deal this year. They play in a tough league, man. The UAA is a very competitive league. Great move by Trubisky and an easy layup. But this is probably the best Case basketball team that we've seen in a couple decades. They are awfully good, and they certainly have NCAA tournament potential. 6 minutes to go in the first half of this game. Catch and shoot three from Wennis. Hits the heel of the rim, and then the wiring above the basket, which drew the whistle. All of a sudden, that Baldwin Wallace big lead is cut all the way down to 4, 33-29. It was 28-18. But a nice little run by John Carroll to close the gap. Can't get closer after the Wallace miss. Simmons cleared it. Jackets led by 12 at 21-9 early in the game. Left corner three off target. Sartain, Hugh Brown. Oh, Simmons called for the foul. Here's some rumbling inside the gymnasium disagreeing with that. Actually, the largest lead of the game was 13. I forgot about that. 28-15 with 10:45 to play when Snyder hit the three. That was the largest lead of the day for BW. But it's been cut all the way down to 4.
Well, without Pfeiffer, it's tough inside for BW. They've been getting attacked by John Carroll down low. Trubisky's had a couple of nice buckets down there in the paint, and that's where they found their success offensively tonight.
Sartain raises. He got fouled from right around the left elbow. Jackson Sartain going to the free throw line. Simmons commits his second foul, team 5th. Sartain, who has not hit a three yet tonight. 1 of 2 from the floor. And he hits his first foul shot. Rob Watson returns, so does David Gentry. And Jackson hits them both. So the Yellow Jacket lead is cut to 2. BW hit 8 of its first 13. They are 4 for their last 14. That'll help. Drew Wennis strokes the 5th three ball of the night.
Needed that one. 3 for 6 now for Drew.
36-31. Abuamde stops with a good pass across the floor. Connor O'Toole misses the three-point shot. Mentioned some of the success that John Carroll has experienced as a program. A lot of NCAA tournament appearances for them. Of course, BW men's team made the NCAA tournament for the first time in 13 seasons back in 2019. Had not been there since 2006, but won the OAC tournament championship in 2019. Nicely done by Gentry. That was a pretty awesome year for the Jackets and a very memorable run through the tournament. 3 road wins at Wilmington Capital and Mount Union to claim the tournament championship. And then they won an NCAA tournament game over the Salisbury Seagulls before losing in overtime with a Sweet 16 berth at stake. It was the last tournament before COVID canceled each of the last couple of D3 basketball national tournaments. Certainly hoping that this year's tournament's going to look more normal. From the right side, good job by Wennis. Head coach Pete Moran not particularly happy there with the defensive effort. And the lead goes back up to 7. 30-second timeout for JCU.
And wow, did that Drew Wennis 3 swing the momentum. That really brought them back ahead by 7, and now they have a chance to run away with it before the half ends. But Zalba has been doing a really nice job on Jackson Sartain. He only has 4 points in this one, only 2 shots up so far, so it's been tough for him to get his shots off. I think he's going to try to push it a little bit more in transition. He's been picking up a lot of these long rebounds, and that's where John Carroll hasn't really gotten out and run with BW yet. I don't really want to push the pace. That favors BW. It's been continuing to favor BW. They lead the game in points off turnovers right now, 9-2.
Jackets by 7 at the moment, 40-33. I would say for the vast majority of the time, BW has gotten pretty good looks. Their misses, for the most part, are not necessarily shots that look like they're bothering the coaching staff. Tom Heil and Brian Schmidt have done a really good job developing this young team. They know they've got a long way to go to get where they want to be competing for an OAC championship in a league that has some extremely talented teams. But they have certainly showed that they can play with the best of them, and their 4-2 start in conference play is a telling sign of that. Jackets fire another 3, and Wennis connects. Consider BW's losses this season. They lost a 2-point game at Trine, who was ranked number 7 in the country. Sartain hits a 2-ball. Yellow Jackets lost to Heidelberg, who is sneaking up on people as one of the top 25 teams in America. Nobody really expected that, but they've had an outstanding season, and they lost pretty handily to Heidelberg. Just a bad shooting day for the Jackets as Zalba connects. BW, I thought, played a really good game with Marietta, but fell short. Marietta's a top 10 program. Rob Watson grabs the miss.
And even that Marietta team lost to Heidelberg by nearly 30.
Yeah, I mean, Heidelberg's like legit. Like they're really
Marietta
good.
Marietta beat Heidelberg by 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the interesting result for me. This BW team, they hung with that Marietta team. They should have won that game. I think if they would have shot better down the stretch, they would have won that game and obviously rebounded better offensively. But Heidelberg, they lost to Marietta by 30, 25 around recently. So nobody wants to face this BW team in the tournament. I think they're good enough to beat anybody at any time, but they're also just a little bit inconsistent. They could almost lose to anybody at any time. So it's who shows up, and tonight they have shown up.
Watson stepped in the lane, so no free throw allowed there. A mental mistake by the Jackets. 48-35, the lead has gone all the way back to 13 points after it was cut down really close. It had gotten down to 33-31. Flannery turns around but can't finish it. The guys are slipping and sliding underneath the basket there on that end of the floor, but nobody has asked for it to be wiped up. 2 minutes to go in the first half. Mazzio just right of center, and he misfires. I would imagine that will aggravate the coaching staff, much like Jackson Sartain is the top of the scouting report when you play against John Carroll. Anthony Mazzio is going to be the first guy on the scouting report the other way, and giving him wide open shots is not allowable.
But his ability to get guys open and pass them open has really shined in this one. He already has 4 assists in this half.
Flannery, contested 3, good try, but off target. Watson couldn't handle it, and it stays down here.
And in comes Pfeiffer after that missed rebound. Watson had a nice block out on the last possession. Grabbed that rebound. Had a nice block out again, but just couldn't get the fingers on that one.
Big offensive first half for BW. They've hit 18 of 36, basically scoring once per minute from the floor. Not a surprise considering the pace of this game. Sartain forces it up and in. What a play! And the foul.
And that is not what you want. You don't want to sub in your starting center and him to pick up a foul right away.
Jackson Sartain to the free throw line. He still hasn't hit a three tonight. Ashton Price checking back on. For his career, Jackson Sartain, he's hit 369 three-pointers, including an OAC record 102 as a sophomore, 90 as a freshman, 97 as a junior. Hit 31 in 8 games in that COVID-shortened season last year. And he's averaging more than 4 threes per game this season, but he's had his 2 least productive games back-to-back all year long, the last 2 games out. It's 2 for his last 5 combined the last 2 nights. Mazzio in some trouble, forces it up, spins it off the glass for 2.
What an effort. Mazzio, just relentless pursuit to the basket.
Final minute of the half. Good idea from Wallace as he drove to the basket, but a little out of control. It'll stay with JCU. Wallace into Trubisky. Mason on the baseline. Not once, not twice, not even a third time. He missed all of them. Flannery grabbed the rebound, another chance for the Streaks. Sartain, nice move, didn't finish it. Goodness gracious. I think there was 6 looks offensively there, none of which went home. Shot clock is about 6 seconds behind the game clock. 15 to shoot at the moment, 50-38. Snyder finds the look that he wanted, missed it. Price grabs that miss and then stolen away by Connor O'Toole. Sartain driving and gets the friendly touch. 5 seconds to go. Ahead, Mazzio stops, forces it up. It's good! He beat the buzzer but did not travel.
And the John Carroll coaching staff not too happy about that call. I thought he might have gotten an and one as well, but he certainly moved that pivot foot.
I was going to say, Yellow Jacket fans are thrilled with the buzzer-beating layup, but I think JCU may have a bit of an argument there in the sense that it was awfully close. No replay available at Division III hoops, and we've reached halftime, 52-40. Baldwin Wallace with 15 first-half points from Drew Wennis and 13 from Anthony Mazzio. They are each 6 of 10 from the floor. Wennis has 3 threes. Mazzio's done it almost all entirely inside the three-point line, plus a free throw. Leading scorer for John Carroll's Jackson Sartain. He's got 4 two-pointers and 3 foul shots, but no threes for the OAC's all-time three-point shooting leader. 12-point game at the half. Yellow Jackets certainly have looked good. We'll see if they can keep it going here as we get ready for the second half. We'll step aside during our halftime coverage. Come on back here shortly. It's Baldwin Wallace 52, John Carroll 40 at BWYellowJackets.com. Halftime between John Carroll and Baldwin Wallace here in Berea. It's been a pretty good game so far. At the moment, the Jackets lead it by a dozen, 52-40. BW led the game by 13. Carroll brought it all the way back down to 2, and the Jackets have re-stretched the lead to 12 right before we start the second half. Luke, your thoughts on the way BW has kind of dealt with that early hot start, and then allowed Carroll back into the game and didn't let it slide too far away from them.
Yeah, they've been playing great team defense all around. The effort has really been there on defense. But a guy off the bench that I really wanted to take a look at, Rob Watson III. He's plus 10 right now off the bench. He's doing a really good job being a nice defensive anchor down low. They kind of missed that defensive anchor when Pfeiffer comes off the floor, and John Carroll kind of really noticed that and attacked that later in that second half, and that's kind of when they got back into things. And Trubisky was the guy leading that. He's one of the only John Carroll players that is plus in the plus negative. He's plus 2 right now. He's been getting to the free throw line, getting inside. Look for him to be a guy that's going to lead the John Carroll scoring attack in this second half, because reality is Sartain is not getting going, and BW has done a nice job of containing him.
Yeah, but I wouldn't rest on those laurels.
Oh, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't rest on a team when they're shooting 3 for 14 from 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not. That's not Carroll's normal run of play. I mean, if they hit 2 more of those threes, then this feels like a totally different scenario at 52-46. So I realize it's 12 and that feels comfortable. If I'm in the Yellow Jacket huddle right now, I think you have to say, hey, look, things have gone well. 52 points and a half is a really good number, but there's a heck of a lot of basketball left to play, and teams that have the ability to shoot the 3 the way these two do, you can shoot yourself out of a 12-point hole in a hurry.
Yeah, and they played a similar game against Marietta. They played a really sound, solid, great first 20 minutes. And you got to play a full 40 minutes in this league if you want to come out on top at the end of the night.
All right, Pfeiffer, Mazzio, Wennis, Zalba, and Snyder out there for the white-clad Yellow Jackets to start out the half. It's the same starting 5 on the other side. Eric Hanna, Connor O'Toole, William Wallace, Jackson Sartain, David Gentry. I don't believe we have seen Griffin Hanna tonight, as Snyder puts up a 3 and buries it. Eric Hanna and Griffin Hanna are cousins, a couple years apart. Eric has played a lot this year, not a ton of playing time yet for Griffin, just a sophomore, but obviously he's got to have some game if he's playing at the college level. Connor O'Toole stopped on the right side, and that one's deflected out of bounds. Connor's older brother, Owen, on the bench at the moment. Their dad, Sean O'Toole, is here tonight. One of the longtime great high school basketball coaches in Northeast Ohio and current athletic director, other side of town over at Gilmore. Had a chance to catch up with a couple of former Yellow Jacket players at halftime. Michael Quiring's here. Kyle Nader's here. This rivalry usually brings out lots of alums on both sides, as the Yellow Jacket defense does a nice job forcing the shot clock violation. BW 9-4, 4-2 in OAC play, trying to win a 4th consecutive game. It would also be a 6th win over their last 8 if they can rack that up. At the moment, they lead by 15. Zalba lost the handle. Sartain jarred it free. Zalba regathered, and somehow the Jackets keep it. This is Mazzio down the left lane with his back to the bucket. Flicked it over his head, but off the rim. O'Toole's trail pass off the mark. And a sloppy turnover.
O'Toole really needs to get going. He's missed 23s in a row. And when you get in that kind of slump, all you need is one to get lit up here. And when your team's 3 for 14, you kind of feel like you're due for one.
Jake Snyder tried to hit a second 3, didn't get it to work. Anthony Mazzio cleans it up. Wennis and Snyder have done a great job tonight, as Goaltending is appropriately called there on Pfeiffer. BW gives up the 2 there. JCU 5 in, 5 out. Brown, Abuamde, Flannery, Trubisky, and Blake Booker all check in. Of course, PJ Flannery, a senior for the Blue Streaks. Talking about good high school coaches, don't want to leave his dad Eric out of the conversation. Head coach over at St. Ed's, you could make the argument that he's been as successful as any high school basketball coach in the state of Ohio the last 10 years. Awfully impressive program down at St. Ed's.
Abuamde has done a really nice job distributing the basketball tonight. 3 assists in that first half off the bench.
Mazzio double teamed on the baseline. It's a jump ball, and it's heading the other direction. Well, neither team off to a particularly riveting start here in the first 2 minutes of this second half. A few other scores from around the OAC here tonight. On the men's side, Wilmington leads Otterbein 32-29 at the break. It's Trubisky double teamed and can't score. Mazzio, good head fake, spins through the lane, and a nice reverse layup. That goes on his highlight reel. Good play. Heidelberg out front of Ohio Northern at the half, 36-28. Mount Union 39, Muskingum 25 as Abuamde is off target. And Marietta and Capital are tied at 37 at the half. Jake Snyder having a big night. 5 of 9 from the floor. He's got 13 now. And John Carroll calls timeout. Scores on the women's side, Wilmington 28, Otterbein 24. Marietta leads Capital 50-30. Mount Union over Muskingum 30-19. Ohio Northern 26, Heidelberg 21. And it's John Carroll 33, BW 26 in the women's game. They are not yet ready to start the second half. We just got word of some scary news across town, praying for the official that was affected by this, but coming out of the locker room, one of the officials collapsed and needed some medical attention, and it sounds like they're having an extended halftime over in University Heights. So I hope that official is okay. But we'll let you know when that second half gets underway on the other side of town. In the meantime, 61-42. All of a sudden, BW picked it up a little bit, thanks to Mazzio and Snyder with those last couple of quick layups. It's gotten the Jackets feeling a little bit better about the start to the half.
That 3-headed scoring attack that I talked about in the first half, all in double digits now. Snyder with 13, Wennes with 16, and Mazzio all the way up to 17 to lead the game.
The Yellow Jackets certainly known for their depth. Mazzio is their best scorer and most consistent scorer, but a lot of guys that are capable, and Anthony with a good defensive effort there that results in a foul. Nice drive to the bucket. And foul shots coming for senior guard Hugh Brown out of Hawken High School over in Gates Mills. Only 2 seniors on the Yellow Jacket roster. Don't see too much of Terrell Hicks. Of course, Shane Zalba plays quite a bit. Everybody else expected to come back next year. On the other side of the floor, Hugh Brown's a senior. Of course, Jackson Sartain in his 5th year. PJ Flannery a senior, and so is Owen O'Toole. The rest of this team pretty young for John Carroll, so we're going to see a lot of these faces back on the floor next year, I would think. Zalba, tough drive, but he got it to finish. Former Mentor Cardinal star with a nice effort. Snyder steals it away. Jake kept his balance, found Drew Wennes. Good work. 65-43, the Yellow Jackets are running John Carroll out of the gym right now. A 22-point lead. Brown off the window for 2. Aboamde, good work. Made that tough. Zalba regathers. Mazzio for three. You betcha! Anthony Mazzio makes it 68-45.
And that's his 20th point. That one going down.
Another missed layup for the blue and gold.
That's 3 or 4 misses by Trubisky right at the cup.
Mazzio bumped but not fouled. This is Wennis open for three. Trubisky grabs his third rebound. Mason's been okay tonight. He's been a little bit off in his return to the floor. Been out there for just under 10 minutes. Again, Mason Trubisky hasn't really played a whole lot of basketball this year, unfortunately. He's been dealing with an injury. Last time he competed was December 8th, so good 5 weeks ago. Mazzio off target with the 2. 8 subs waiting to check on. From the left side, the 3 off target from Booker. Neither one of these teams are using much of the shot clock. Feels like within the first 10 seconds of most possessions, somebody's taking a shot.
In credit BW, a lot of their shots have been wide open.
Wennis had the size advantage, now in a double team. Snyder, good feed underneath. Pfeiffer snuck his way back there. Great patience from BW offensively that time. Showing that they can pull the trigger quickly and use the full 30. The Jackets call timeout, and in a game where you know you're going to be in a track meet, strategically using those timeouts can be really helpful. We'll step aside for just a moment. It's all BW tonight, 70-45 early in the second half. Well, the last time John Carroll came to this building, the Yellow Jackets came away with a win, 90-78. But Jackson Sartain put on a show, hit 7 of 11 threes and dropped 30. That is a career milestone night for him as he hit his 300th career three-pointer tonight. The OAC's all-time leader in threes has had a pretty quiet night and in fact has not hit a single three as he misses there from inside the free throw line. 4 of 7 from the floor. He's got 11 points, none in the second half, but he has not hit a three yet. Shot clock's at 7 as JCU gets going here. Eric Hanna contested, missed it. That's deflected off the Blue Streaks. And JCU goes into full court press. Price.
Got to value the basketball in moments like this.
Good shot, gets his own miss. Dumps it off last second for what he thought would be a better look. Wennis couldn't gather, so he just runs to the corner and missed the three. Simmons cleans it up. Good effort there from Jackson Simmons, 72-45. Simmons takes it away. Wennis lays it home. The lead is 29. Timeout, John Carroll. A 20-point performance for Drew Wennis. Back-to-back great nights for him. The Yellow Jackets are pouring it on here at home.
It's unbelievable. 40-24 on points in the paint now. They're just tacking it on. I mean, the total rebounds at halftime was nearly tied. BW now leads 37-24 in that category. They've been all over the glass. And that's partially due to Jackson Simmons and what he's done recently. He's really been getting a lot more minutes off the bench. Did so a little bit last season, but really has shown his effort and his grit inside makes a big impact on this team.
Well, as you look forward at what the rest of the schedule looks like for BW, I mean, they've still got, I guess this is officially the halfway point of the OAC schedule, right? They've got 9 conference games remaining after having a couple canceled from COVID problems within their own locker room. So tonight officially marks the halfway point of the OAC. And I think we've learned a lot about this team as the year's gone along. Of their 4 losses, 2 of them were very close games, lost twice by 2 points, and both times were to really high-quality opposition. The other 2 losses were one competitive loss and one not particularly competitive loss. But I like your point earlier about, you know, where this team's upside could be. They definitely could make some noise in the OAC tournament. If they get hot, I like their chances. The second chance opportunity was jarred loose because of a foul on Price. Jackets will be home on Saturday against Wilmington. And they've got back-to-back road games at Heidelberg and at Marietta, who both beat them the first time around. BW, of course, did not have games against Otterbein or Mount Union yet because of COVID, and those will be the next 2 opponents after that to open up February before the Jackets will host Northern, go to Muskie, go to Carroll, and come home to play Capital, close out the regular season. Connor O'Toole at the free throw line. Got it.
Could feel a little bit out of that timeout that John Carroll has somewhat of a renewed energy. They're going to play hard for the next 5 minutes, and BW really has to lock it in to keep this lead, because at any time this team can get hot from behind the arc.
Samson Albert. Carroll really pressuring the ball way outside the three-point line. BW can make good passes. They can probably get their way through this. Up top, Driscoll was open for a minute. Well, didn't really expect Jackson Simmons to fire a 3, but knocks one down in the corner and gets the Yellow Jackets on their feet. I think even Tom Heil cracked a smile there when Jackson put one down. Hanna off target. Price cleared it. Good defensive effort there from Connor O'Toole. And he lays it home.
I mean, there's almost no other way to describe it other than there being a lid on the basket on that end for John Carroll. I mean, it's just unheard of to shoot 3 of 18 from behind the arc.
Sometimes they just don't go down for whatever reason. Driscoll rejected. Good play by Gentry.
We didn't get to see any of Chase Toppin tonight, but I really like what I've seen from David Gentry.
Well, Gentry's a real deal. How about that? Gorgeous shot from Ashton Price. Simmons grabs the miss. Price couldn't double it up. O'Toole fouled on the way to the basket. Only 7 times in Jackson Sartain's career. Let's see, he's at 107 games played. Only 7 times has Jackson Sartain been held scoreless from behind the three-point line, and 3 of those efforts came in his true freshman season. Gentry out, Mason Trubisky back in. 1 of those 7 came last week when Sartain was held without a 3 against Otterbein a week ago tonight. So it's pretty rare for a guy that's averaging basically 3.5 per game in his career and more than 4 per game this season to not make an impact from behind the three-point line. But right now that is reflected not just on Jackson Sartain's line, but frankly on the team line in general. Haven't gotten a whole bunch of opportunities for Sartain. He's only tried 2 threes as the Jackets get a lay-in from Rob Watson. I just think BW's done a really, really good job of taking Sartain out of the game from deep as Flannery's 3 was off the mark. Mazzio and Wennis leading the way with 20. Price floats one up and in. He's got 8, one of his better scoring efforts during his freshman campaign. Trubisky almost got tackled by Watson. Instead, Flannery hits the 3. 83-54. Watson over the front of the rim.
There's just no pushback inside. It's been way too easy down there for the Yellow Jackets.
And a foul on BW. We're going to see William Wallace come back in a minute. Fouls on Watson, whose athleticism is probably his best attribute. As the Jackets sub in 5 new faces. Mazzio, Pfeiffer, Wennis, Snyder, Zalba, the starting 5 come on back.
And really credit Zalba for the defensive work that he's done tonight on Sartain. I said it in the last game that we broadcasted together, Brennan, that he was up there for OAC Defensive Player of the Year. I really do believe that.
Sartain dribbles it off his foot. You can see the frustrated look on his face. Just not the kind of night he's used to. Of course, not the perfectly normal crowd here. Baldwin Wallace, as a university, has a policy right now of limiting 200 fans in the venue. But there's still a good crowd on hand. I think we're probably right about at that threshold. And as it usually is for these two sides, the fans are vocal and enjoying themselves, so that's a good thing.
Didn't look anything like the football game.
I was going to say, the fact this is a rivalry certainly makes this a fun matchup, but considering what happened when these two teams played football in November, I think the Yellow Jackets are relishing this 33-point lopsided affair at the moment. Another takeaway. Snyder, oh baby, 90-54. Flannery's 3, not quite. BW has scored 90 points and there's not even under 8 left in the game.
And this team hasn't even touched 100 this season, which makes it that much more impressive.
I mean, the Jackets have hit 11 threes, which is certainly good, but 26 two-point shots tonight only 5 of 7 from the free throw line. Jackets are shooting 55%. Trubisky into the paint. Rejected. Good teamwork there.
That one barely got out of Trubisky's hand before Pfeiffer swatted it away.
Mazzio, easy bucket. Timeout, John Carroll. This one's getting ugly. 92-54. It's a 38-point lead for BW. Step aside here for just a second. Jackets way out front, getting late. Well, Yellow Jacket fans are having fun tonight. 92-54. They are putting it on their crosstown rivals. Alongside Luke Schradel, I'm Brendan Gulick. Glad to have you along tonight. BW hoping that this can be the kind of emotional win that can really bolster their OAC championship aspirations. I would say they've got some work to do considering Marietta's unbeaten. Heidelberg's 6-1 with only the loss you mentioned to Marietta. But with a Jacket win tonight, they'll get to 5-2. They started the night within a half game of Mount Union, who of course they didn't play a couple of weeks ago. But the Jackets showing they've got some really good potential. You know, we were talking about previous OAC tournaments and championships between these two teams, and I referenced the 2019 OAC title between the Jackets and the Blue Streaks. As Zalba picks off the pass, throws to Mazzio over the top of his head. Makes me think of Jay Battle, who was one of the electrifying scorers from a few years ago. Jay is now coaching at Gahanna Lincoln High School down in Greater Columbus. Shout out to Jay, man. His Gahanna Lincoln team is very good and had a heck of a game the other night against Pickerington Central, one of the top teams in Central Ohio. Wishing Jay and his guys all the best as they go down the home stretch of their season. Wennis posts Pfeiffer. Left-hand turnaround jump shot, not quite. That's a blocking foul on the floor, no shot. So a baseline inbound coming for the Blue Streaks. We're 4 of 22 from behind the three-point line tonight. And if you've tuned in late, Jackson Sartain still hasn't hit a three. He's 0 for 2, and at the moment he's on the bench. Simmons, Watson, Driscoll, Albert, and Trent. Yeah, Jakacki just came off the bench for the first time. Trent Jakacki with his first appearance of the night, the freshman out of Crestwood High School. Good to see him make an appearance in the rivalry game. Albert, good body control as he exploded to the bucket, and a couple foul shots coming.
I think looking forward, a lot of teams are going to look at this game and say, hey, this is the ceiling for what BW can do. You have to be prepared to play the team when they can play like this.
Well, I agree, as Albert puts in the foul shot. I don't want to overreact, though, to the 93-point performance through basically 34 minutes, because I think it's a combination of the Yellow Jackets certainly running the floor well, getting a lot of transition baskets. Yes, they've hit 11 threes, which is, frankly only slightly above average for them. Jackets are averaging 10 threes per game. So they've had a good shooting night, but I think some of this too is, they're playing against one of the worst defensive teams in the country. And they're probably getting a lot of those looks easily at the rim because they have beaten Carroll up and down the floor all night long. The lead is 39, and now it's 41.
Mazzio's done a nice job getting to the bucket tonight. He was 1 of 5 on three-pointers, kind of had to find himself, and the inside game was what was working, and he took what they gave him.
A 5-minute scoring drought now for John Carroll. It's a 12-0 run for the Jackets to balloon this thing up to 95-54. I have to be honest, I don't know all of the matchups in the history of these two programs. They've been playing basketball against each other for a very long time. I can't imagine there have been too many games where these two teams have been 40 points apart. Watson, well, he tipped it in, but Simmons grabbed the rim, so that's offensive goaltending. Entering the night, BW was 65-63 all time, which makes this the 129th meeting. I can't imagine many of them have been decided by close to 40. Simmons knocks it out of bounds. Now again, if you're joining us late or if you're not familiar, as Albert commits a foul there, I think it's at least worth pointing out that if you're a BW fan perhaps watching, look, you're relishing this, right? But again, to be fair, both teams have dealt with COVID cancellations this year. But between the two teams, Carroll's been hit much harder with COVID absences and injuries on the season. And so perhaps some of this, too, is just that they haven't really been in a great rhythm here. And they have taken it on the chin a couple of times in conference play, but not like this. I mean, even the loss we talked about earlier in the show to Case, 111-82. Carroll was much better in that game than they were here. Trubisky checks out. 95-56. Chikaki. Driscoll and Watson finding Simmons off the rim.
I would have loved to see what Chase Toppin would bring tonight.
Oh, for sure. Luke Driscoll, coast to coast.
I mean, he really could have been a big factor. His first game against BW as a young freshman, as a star.
Well, he transferred in from Lake Erie College. I mean, he's got the capability to be a player at that level, at the Division II level, but he also was dealing with COVID earlier in the year and just didn't seem to like the culture last year at Lake Erie, and so he transferred. And, I mean, absolutely, man. When he's been on the floor, he's been awfully good. Hard to run an offense without your best, drive and kick player, but guy that can slash to the bucket at will, as Luke Driscoll makes a three. BW calls a timeout here just to get a couple subs in themselves. Leon Levesque comes in, Luke Coyne in as well.
And like you said at halftime, it was only a 12-point game. At that point, they were 3 or 14 from downtown. And it really was anybody's game. The injuries and the lack of effort defensively in the second half is kind of what ended up bringing us to this score. But I think it was mostly competitive in that first half, and that the next time you see this matchup at John Carroll, it's going to be a much more interesting game because John Carroll is going to have a lot to prove in that game.
Griffin Hanna checked in, as did Hugh Brown. Free throw up and good for Griffin, sophomore out of St. Ignatius. 99-59. Hits them both. Here comes Terrell Hicks, who gets a nice ovation from the Yellow Jacket students who've made their way into the gym. Hicks is a big boy, 6'5", 250. He is very athletic, but his basketball skills, I think he's still refining those. Trubisky gives it. Jakacki not quite on the three. Hugh Brown, and one. So a couple of nice plays by John Carroll guards here recently. Senior out of Hawken takes his time. Hits the back of the rim. Gentry. And he got fouled on his putback try. Gentry's first foul shot up and good. Yeah, nicely job there from David Gentry. I like his game. I think he's got a chance to develop pretty nicely. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Jake Hollinger, who used to play at Carroll a few years back. Similar size, similar shot. Hollinger was a good player for them. Albert splits the defense. Did everything but score there. Here they come the other way. E.J. Buckner Jr., who recently checked in. Flannery from the middle of the key. Gentry kicks it back out. 2:20 to go. Good defense there from BW. Gentry pulls from 15. And the Yellow Jackets clear it. Albert wants to go fast. And pulls it back out. Terrell Hicks scores. That's all you needed to hear. Fans love it. Hicks comes off the floor after scoring his first points as a Yellow Jacket. That's great. 101-64.
Some nice icing on the cake there.
BW brings in Zoltan Nagy in a game where final score hasn't been in jeopardy for a while. Carroll going deep into their bench. John Scrata fumbled it. And apparently the Jackets were still out of bounds there. George Wilson from nearby Columbia Station.
Zoltan Nagy getting his first minutes of the season. Soccer player for BW as well in the goal. Really nice goalkeeper for the Jackets.
Matthew Dent checks in as well for BW. And Nagy had a great fall for the Jacket soccer team.
Certainly has the size to be in there at 6'5".
Dent lets it fly. Too deep. Approaching the final minute. Buckner thought that he had Griffin Hanna trailing him, and Hanna stopped running. Buckner passed it out of bounds. Jackson Sartain did not score in the second half. Unbelievable. The Blue Streak star looks like he's going to finish this game with 11 points and without a single three. Well, the referee on the near side raised his arm like he was going to call a foul, but he never blew his whistle. And they let play go. Final minute of the game. The Yellow Jackets working on quite a win. Jakacki. Nagy into the corner. Matthew Dent. Another good try, but not quite. Buckner dribbled it off his foot, and the shot clock is off. The Yellow Jackets are going to hang on to it and walk away with an awfully impressive win. 101-64 over their crosstown rivals from University Heights. What a performance. Baldwin Wallace with a gorgeous win tonight. 42 of 80 from the floor, 53% shooting. Anthony Mazzio had 22, Drew Wennis had 20, 16 from Jake Snyder. They led the way offensively for the Streaks. David Gentry finished with a team-high 12 for John Carroll, 11 for Jackson Sartain. And the biggest win of the season for Baldwin Wallace. So the Jackets go to 10-4 on the season. John Carroll falls to 6-7. They are 1-5 in OAC play. Your final thoughts?
Well, they obviously played a great game tonight, but it's a tough stretch coming forward. Wilmington beat this team by a similar score. You're going to have to play Heidelberg at their place. And you're going to have to go play Marietta at their place as well. And then you come home and play Mount Union and Otterbein. So not a tough stretch of games, but this is the way you like to kick it off.
Baldwin Wallace hit 22 of 41 in the second half. John Carroll hit 6 of 27 in the second half. They were able to keep it somewhat respectable with 11 of 14 from the free throw line, but that was a rather forgettable 20-minute stretch of basketball for a program that has certainly got a proud tradition but had a tough night for John Carroll. So, again, the Yellow Jackets 10-4. They've got a good thing going at 5-2 in conference play. 9 dates down, 7 games in, and 9 to go. We hope the Yellow Jackets will be able to play 9 more times. I guess you just never know with games being canceled these days, but you certainly hope that this will be a more normal-looking stretch going forward. So congratulations to the Jackets on a big win tonight, 101-64. And BW will be home again this coming weekend with Wilmington coming to town. For Luke Schradel, I'm Brendan Gulick on behalf of Baldwin Wallace Athletics. Thanks for tuning in tonight. One more time, the final. BW 101, John Carroll 64. See you on Saturday. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. You've been watching Yellow Jacket Basketball, BWYellowJackets.com.